Great stance on this lowered Triumph TR4. Beautiful burble of the Daimler V8 engine. I reckon it'd be pretty cool driving this GT40 at night. Today on CarTraction, you join us on what is probably one of the last good evenings here in the United Kingdom. Tonight we are at the Swettenham Standard. In case you don't know, we have a Standard 8 at home. That's a Standard 10.
It is.
Yeah, don't worry about me, focus on the Standard. That is lovely. So yeah, hopefully you'll be seeing more things like that. TR4 here, but we are cheating, in my opinion. We're in a 2002 modern classic. You could say this is our Jaguar XJ8. Been naughty recently, but it's actually working at the moment. Fingers crossed. So the evenings are drawing in a little bit too early to bring something properly old. 6-volt lamps don't really work with sort of September in Britain. It gets very dark. So we're in this, but hopefully we'll be seeing a few older classic cars, classic British sports cars. There's a bit of everything that turns up at this meet, but already we're still here very early. There are some very special cars that I want to look at, so yeah, let's see what turns up. So yes, we're here in the XJ8 among a few others, but first of all, before we look at any of these lovely cars, there is one car here that I really want to have a look at. It actually would be the wonderful Standard 10, we'll look at that in a moment, but just beyond that is an absolutely sublime car. This is a Lamborghini 400 GT. This is the car that came after the likes of the Lamborghini 350 GT, which I think was one of the first production Lamborghini road cars. But this is just a jaw-droppingly beautiful car. I'll just walk around this car just to let you soak it all in. It's an absolutely gorgeous design. There's also an absolutely fantastic looking classic Allard racer over there, which we'll look at in a moment, but yeah, I'm very taken with this Lamborghini, the 400 GT. So this is the 2+2 body. It's a different body compared to the 350 GT because it is a 2+2. It's got 4 seats. The 350 GT just had the 2 seats, as you can see in the interior here. We have a 4-seat arrangement. It's just the most glorious of cars. I want to say it would have a V12 manual gearbox, obviously. Got these just glorious Answer exhaust tips which really suit classic Italian cars like this one. Just an absolutely incredible looking car. Even the door handles, look at those. Those in themselves are a thing of beauty. And this little potentially air intake or something. I don't know what that would be actually there. That is one incredible car I've never seen before. And here's another very impressive car I've never seen before. This is an Allard car. Now this is an original sort of 1950s era British racing car. We've got aluminium body by the looks of it, but what I like about this one is you can see all the joins of it. This, as it is an original race car, would have been raced in period, would have been crashed in period. It's just inevitable. But I like how you can see where the repairs are. If you look all over the sort of back of it, you can see where it's been repaired, where it's been filled in, where a bit more aluminium has been put in. It's obviously bare metal, so it's nice and easy to see. But it's just really nice to see how this car wears its history like that. As you can see, all the original panels and how they're actually fabricated and sort of made together. Got the passenger who'd sort of have to cramp over the fire extinguisher and would have to sort out this roll bar here. We've got Jaguar style dials in this one, redlining at 5,000 revs. And this is a very nice dial here, with quite rare actually to have mile per hour and kilometres indicated on it. All nice period fittings, which obviously confirms that this is indeed a period race car. Manual gearbox. And being an Allard, this would most likely have an 8-cylinder engine, V8 engine up front. We've got this here. This looks a bit peculiar, but I think that's to put the spare wheel on the side. It's just that the spare wheel doesn't happen to be on the side at the moment. Just a spectacular looking car, probably mid-1950s in date. We've got this stunning air intake on the top of the engine there. That is an amazing, amazing bit of design. Leather straps with all once again really nice period fittings, so nothing looks out of place on this vintage Allard. Post-war in date, but you can see hints of pre-war styling. Yeah, I really love the look of that one. I'm sure that would go and sound very, very nicely indeed. We've got this little strip on the front here. This must be an actual active competition car. That is for the likes of hill climbing. It's a sort of regulation set thing that goes in front of the car. That's to get that extra millisecond of time over the line when you're hill climbing, and that will be like a set distance above maybe the sort of panel it's mounted on. All the cars that you see hill climbing at various events have that, so that shows that this Allard in its original condition is still racing and hill climbing and being used at full speed, so that's great to see. We've got a much later Lotus. This is a Lotus Elise with the Go 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 registration. That's really cool, that, isn't it? And just behind that is a standard 10, as I said. Hopefully you could hear me in the intro. We have a standard 8, which is the smaller version of this one. It's obviously it's exactly the same car, just with the smaller engine. As the 803cc engine, this has the 948cc standard SC 4-cylinder. So this one would have a little bit more poke. I think it comes in about 28 brake horsepower, at least from new. And these are examples of fantastically affordable and usable first classic cars. Really nice and usable condition. I think it's an older restoration, that one.
When I sold it.
This is 1956. If memory serves, the owner of this channel is at least a viewer of Dad's channel, maybe of my channel as well. It's 57, I think this car might be. It's got the same cream wheels with the slightly sort of chromed hubcaps, which is just like ours. The main difference, or one of the main differences with the 10, is that of course we have the opening boot. We do not have that. We have a hatch under the rear seats in our little 8, which is earlier than this car. It's great to see another one of those out and about. And yeah, I'd love to see that just as much as this stunning Lamborghini 400 GT. Parked over in this corner is this stunning Maserati V8 powered GT. We are still very, very early here, so yeah, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more turning up this evening, both new and old, slightly more modern classics like this very smart Maserati, and some of the older cars like this very, very cool looking MGB Roadster in the purple with the large mini light wheels. Very sharp looking car. Here we are in the XJ8, kind of interrupting the classic car theme, I know, but a few people seem to agree with us. It's a modern classic. I'd say it's too new personally, but then again I am only 16. For some reason I have the mind of a 70-year-old. And the only sort of classic cars I think of when you say classic cars are cars like these. This is a Triumph TR4A. I've seen this car quite a few times before. Always glistens in its dark blue with the lighter blue interior. Very nice livery, well, sort of combination I suppose you could say. Immaculate chrome. Very, very smart classic British sports car. And here's another Triumph TR4. This is a TR4 as opposed to the TR4A we just saw. This is an interesting one because just look how low it is. This has clearly had some aftermarket modifications. That's what they usually look like over there. And this one is super low, but the stance of this car is just perfect. It really looks like a period racer. We've got these nice wide painted steel spoke rims, wheels. We've got this nice chrome strip. I don't think I've seen that before around there. Lovely interior. There's a very early VW Beetle rolls past. in front of the lovely Swettenham Arms pub, which is the host for tonight's evening classic car meet. Here's the front of that TR4 debumpered. We've got the Lucas P700 headlamps with some, later by the looks of it, spot lamps. The bulge in the bonnet for the carburettor. The wheel's quite widely spaced, so we might have had some wheel spaces or maybe just wider tyres, but the stance of that car is fantastic. Looks so cool lowered. Just beyond the stunning Lamborghini in a very similar shade of blue is this Renault Clio Williams. This is the Williams 2 as opposed to the first generation of the Renault Clio Williams. Very, very popular hot hatch. There's an Alpina rims on this BMW 4 Series, I think. There's a Mark II VW Golf GTI there. I know VWs are quite desirable sort of cult cars, aren't they, really? This is actually one of my favourite minis I've seen recently. It's quite a late mini in date, actually. It's sort of 1980s in era, as opposed to the early cars, which I think were first debuted in 1959. Just over there is an MG Midget. And that car, I already know, has a CarTraction sticker. Hopefully you can see it. We'll look at it later, obviously. That has a CarTraction and old classic car sticker. Merch available on Redbubble, guys, but yeah, we'll look at that one later. But back to another A-Series powered car, BMC A-Series, probably a 1275 in this one, in this fantastic looking Mini. As I said, 1980s in date, but the styling and modifications make it look quite a bit earlier, I'd say personally. Got the spot lamps, a set of 4 of those, Revolution wheels, very sort of contemporary 1960s modification. I think even this early we're going to be getting a very big turnout tonight. We're almost at full capacity already. Been to this meet probably 3 or 4 times now. It's never been this big so early. I think we're going to get an absolutely packed turnout tonight of all sorts of enthusiast cars. I'm glad we got here early because the XJ8 is not an easy car to manoeuvre, and it's very easy, as I'm sure you can probably understand, to get stuck or blocked in here. It can get absolutely huge, this meeting. As I said, one of the last nice meetings of the year. I think we'll be getting pretty much a full, if not overflowing, car park of enthusiast cars, with cars just like this Mini. I see behind me there are a few more tastefully modified Minis, so we'll have a look at those in a moment. Just up front is this MG BGT in black. That looks very sleek in black, actually, doesn't it? Yeah, I do like the look of this one. I was looking at this car earlier. It has a very nice period mod in the form of those little additional gauges up top. I really do like the look of those. Nice little period mod on this MG BGT. We have the 1.8 litre BMC B Series 4-cylinder engine, matched up to twin SU carburettors under the open bonnet there. Nice original Smith's heater as well. And the nice original Cooper's air intakes for the SU carburettors on that one. That looks a really nice sorted car. That's a very smart MGB GT. Just next to that is a pairing of Sunbeam Alpines. One of these cars is earlier, one of them is much later in production. The first one here is the earlier one, the earlier style of Sunbeam Alpine with the Roots Group badge. And we have the, it's actually very handy, these cars both being parked together. If you look at the fins on the back of this car, very angular, and you look at the fins on that one, they're both Sunbeam Alpines, but this one is a lot earlier with the more angular fins. So this is a very rare early Sunbeam Alpine Roadster. These were also sold as the Sunbeam Tiger, where Sunbeam shoehorned a huge American V8 engine into it, but these are just the, I don't want to say base spec, but they're just like the 4-cylinder British cars. And here's the later one. This is a Series 4 actually, this Sunbeam Alpine, so much later. Got the 1725 4-cylinder in this one. And it's great to have these two parked together. You can see the later design features of this one and the earlier design styles. The other Sunbeam Alpine just here. These guys must have got here early. They were even here before we came, and we always make a point of coming early to wherever we go. Got the W123. Oh no, I don't think it is actually. It's similar to the W123, but this is the coupe variant, which is actually a very smart looking car. The W123 series of Mercedes was like a 1980s era Mercedes saloon, but this is not a saloon. I don't think it counts. This is a coupe, the 2-door, which looks a fantastic car. Really, really sleek. 3-speed automatic at a guess, I think. I don't quite know the W number for this one. It's a 230 CE, so C denoting the fact that this is the coupe variant as opposed to the what would have been sold alongside the W123 Saloon, which was the 4-door car. This just having 2 doors, much larger door obviously, the coupe, which is probably actually a really rare variant of this shape, this particular shape of the classic Mercedes cars. That looks really, really sleek in silver, doesn't it? Do like that one. The Cobra's making an early exit. And yeah, we'll have a look at this now. This is no normal Triumph. This, originally at least, would be a Triumph Dolomite Sprint, which would have a relatively tuned up variant of the original Triumph Dolomite engine. But when we look at this, we see some very nice individual throttle bodies. So this is a double overhead cam Vauxhall 4-cylinder engine, which is obviously far from original, with individual throttle bodies for the intake systems, with the ram air filters there. This is a very interesting engine swap when compared to the original Dolomite Sprint engine, which to be honest was actually quite a quick engine already, but this would have a much higher power output. A Vauxhall twin cam tubular manifold open air intake 4-cylinder twin cam engine. I'm sure that goes pretty well in this particular Dolomite. Mark III Mazda MX-5 has just pulled in behind. But yeah, that is a real sleeper car. That Triumph Dolomite, obviously no real clue as to the specific power output, but it would not be a slouch at all with that engine in there, that is for sure. There's a little Caterham 7 here. This would probably be another open air intake, you know, individual throttle bodied car, which would sound very, very nice. Another twin cam 4-cylinder in both of those cars, I assume. There's another Mercedes estate. These are meant to be really reliable cars. I think this is the W124 shape of Mercedes. Dad has actually had a couple of these as daily cars in the last few years, and to be honest, it's all good positive feedback. They're meant to just go on and on and on. They're some of the most reliable cars out there, these. Really practical. Actually a really nice looking car, that's quite sort of charming in its boxy design. I do like the look of that one. It's an E300 diesel. These are probably available as a variety of petrol and diesel fueled engines. It's quite a sharp looking car. This is a 6-volt Beetle, a very early generation of the original VW Beetle design. I see a very nice pre-war MG has just turned up behind me, so we'll look at that whenever we get round to it. I'll try to feature a bit of everything new and old. Domed headlamps would indicate this is an early Beetle. As I said, this is a... oh, what's on the camera? Little fly. He's gone now. Famous fly. So this has the domed headlamps. You can see the later sort of Beetles, the headlamps sort of sat more proud. They're more prominent. This is the domed headlamps, which is an earlier design feature. It's got smaller rear brake lights on the back as well, which is a design feature of the early Beetles. These are 6-volt powered. At least originally it would have been powered by a 6-volt battery as opposed to a 12-volt battery, which you'd found in the later Beetles. Lots of nice period accessories. I really do love... well, let's have a look. We got some lovely twin Bosch spot lamps on these. Got a yellow one there and a clear one there, AA badge, but the Bosch lamps are just absolutely glorious on that. We've got a very nice little enamel badge. Wow, these are lovely, aren't they? Nice little enamel Volkswagen Club badge. And also do approve of the original Desmo mounting bracket there. No sort of modern recreation brackets, you know, it's all built with the sort of old fittings. That actually really makes me happy as a nerd. Really nice old enamel badge and a Desmo fitting. That's a very, very high quality fittings on the front of this particular Beetle, so I do like that one. This is an Audi R8, it's the V10, so 5.2 litre V10. There's a Lotus Exige S just over there. What's behind me? It is a MGC. The 3 litre engine variant of the MGB we just saw earlier. You can see the hump in the bonnet. That's to accommodate the much larger 6-cylinder engine as opposed to the 4-cylinder engine found in the MGB. You can just see it over there with its bonnet up. Over here we'll have a look round here now. There's a pop-up headlight era Corvette and a very smart, this is a Daimler 250 V8, this one. Some may mistake for the likes of the Jaguar Mark II, and it is basically the same floor pan, but this has got the, I think, aluminium block Daimler 2.5 litre V8 engine in this one. sold as probably mostly autos and a few manuals. Yeah, this one is indeed an automatic transmission in this particular Daimler 250 V8, which is by far the most common transmission type you'd get in these. Really, really sleek looking car. I think this one's been coming in many a year. Very nice little side opening windows, lovely quality interior. That would make a really nice cruiser. 1950s era car that can still sit on modern motorways happily at 60 and 70 miles per hour. A really usable car that would be. Morgan nosed in over here. The private registration would indicate this is a V6 powered car. The original Morgan 4/4s of the sort of 1950s era, those would have had a 4-cylinder. Then these sort of later recreation ones came as a variety of 4 V6s and V8s, a variety of engines available in these later ones. So that must be a V6 in that one, judging by the registration. Well, that is a very modified old Thames van, but we'll continue our walk around in the evening sunlight. This Lotus Exige really does look very sleek. Same who said for the Porsche Cayman GT4 RS. He's got the sort of gold tint on the headlamps which suits his gold alloy rims. That's a 4-wheel drive, I think, VW Golf Mark IV, which is currently for sale, so we'll look at that in a moment. Actually quite a rare car, even though you may not think of it initially when you see it. This is a Ferrari 430 Scuderia, BMW Z4, BMW like a 3 Series estate. This is a fantastic looking Jaguar E-Type, judging by the scoop underneath this one. This is a Series 3, so this will have the 5.3 litre Jaguar V12 engine. These were sold most commonly as a 3-speed automatic car and as a 4-speed manual, but an interesting aspect about this car is these were very much geared towards the American market. And as we can see with this particular car, it's in left-hand drive configuration, which you don't see every day. So yeah, an original left-hand drive Jaguar E-Type V12. That must be a real rarity. The exhaust system on these V12 Series 3 E-Types are stunning, aren't they? The quad exit exhaust. That is an absolutely incredible looking car. Really sleek. Do like that one. I presume this is your E-Type, sir?
It is.
So is it US market originally?
It is, yeah.
Where in the US was it?
Texas.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
How long have you had this one then?
Since just before the lockdown, 2019.
Oh, yeah.
I restored it during the lockdown.
Alright. So it's 4-speed manual as well, so that must be...
Yeah, that was I had the gearbox changed, so it was originally a 3-speed auto.
Oh, right. Yeah, because the 4-speeds were quite rare, weren't they?
They were.
Yes.
Yeah, it's better with a manual box.
Yeah, it improves the driving, doesn't it? Cruising, auto, and then... Yeah, this is a incredible looking, very shiny Jaguar. Have you done much work to it, or did you just buy it like this?
No, it was complete sort of metal restoration, because
Right.
the paintwork was blistered with the heated Texas.
Right.
It had been in dry storage,
Right.
and so it was pretty much a rebuild.
And that done by yourself?
No, it was done by a company in Congleton called Lock and Hankey. They did they did all the paintwork, stripped it down to bare metal, and then
Wow.
painted it.
I've got to say, it does look absolutely fantastic this evening. There it is. So that is a 5.3 5.3 litre Jaguar V12. Got a set of 4 Stromberg carburetors on this one. Was the engine rebuilt as well when it was done?
No, not rebuilt. It's had work done on it, but not rebuilt.
Oh, right. Oh, that is...
So new water pump, new header tank. The carbs were rebuilt. New set of hoses. Usual things, rocker box and gaskets.
Yeah, it is one absolutely gleaming engine bay, that. Moving on from the Series 3 E-Type, we have something a little bit more modern, but I suppose you could say a similar philosophy. Big engine up front, GT body. This is a BMW Z4M 3 litre straight 6 in that one. Actually a really desirable car now. We're edging towards full capacity here. It's Yeah, it's going to be a big turnout tonight. I think that is safe. Wow, that is one demonic Renault 5. We'll definitely have to have a look at that one among all the others. We'll get a little look at some of these rolling in now. The Mercedes AMG 6.3 V8. That is a Peugeot 106 sort of road rally car. Really sort of lumpy idle, indicating sort of fully race prepped engine. Open intake, very nice growl, 106 rally. That's a very clean looking Porsche 944. A bit of 100E goodness, that is a Ford Popular 1950s in date, but that one looks very, very modified since its original 1950s specification. Really fruity sounding car. I think those guys are going to struggle a little bit for spaces. Lotus here in blue. There's Dad also doing a bit of filming tonight. The Porsche GT3 rolling in as well, in white. I think the owner hasn't had that car for too long. .3 litre flat 6 in those. This is a sort of VW Beetle conversion into sort of beach dune buggy. Gotta love the sort of very sort of out there, you could say, sort of metallic finish green paint on this one. Yeah, you can certainly get a bit of wind in the hair on that one. Hello Dad, what takes your fancy then?
I'll have the Lambo, please.
Oh, that's fair enough, that's fair enough. That Series 3 type was a lovely car though.
It is.
It's yeah, very nicely restored. Dad is doing a video tonight as well on old classic car. I do like the deep dish sort of racing style steering wheel on that, with a nice sort of little yellow band around that. That's usually for like rally drivers to make sure they keep the wheel straight while they're in the air over jumps. I don't think this dune buggy's been doing many jumps, although some beaches can be rather bumpy. It does look quite cool on that. I'm sure that's quite an eye-catching, sure to make everyone smile there, a little Beetle based. We'll have a look at the Beetle derived engine. At the back we can only just see it really, but yeah, it's a VW Beetle. This would have been originally. There's another Morgan here. This is a 4.4. This one, another sort of slightly later era of car, sort of resto modded or restored or prepared into a sort of racing spec. Looks really sleek in black actually, that one. And of course side mounted plates. Oh, very cool. This is some model of Ford pickup car. Oh, it's a Chevrolet. Oh, that's poor for me. Quite similar styling to the likes of the Ford F100, that's why I mistook that one. Probably most likely on air ride suspension, judging by the height of this one. It would not have got in here on the roads around here with this particular height in this configuration, so I think that would be on air suspension. Raise it up, you can lower it down as you please. And there's a bit of a struggle going on for spaces. There's the Porsche 944 over there. That's a really clean looking car, that one. I do like those sort of 5-pointed star rims on that one. That's one absolutely incredibly clean Chevrolet. I'm sure that's had a lot of sort of blood, sweat and tears like put into it, languished upon it. It looks super sleek. This BMW Z3 has been an interesting story. The owner hasn't had this too long, probably only a couple of months or so. He actually bought it on a Monday. It's Tuesday evenings, these Swettenham car meets. He bought it on the Monday before one of the car meets and brought it here. This is a £950 Facebook Marketplace find, this particular BMW Z3. It's a 1.9. The owner will probably agree it's not in the best condition, but how you just can't fault a fun car that works, convertible for £950. It's just, you really just can't, can you? Yeah, really interesting story. I hope the owner gets lots of fun use out of his bargain Facebook BMW Z3. This is either a Mark 1 Mini recreation or it's actually a Mark 1 Mini that's been very modified. Sometimes you can get kits which you put on late. Yeah, okay, this is, I think, a slight... is it? This could be a slightly later type of Mini, but you can get these conversion kits to put the smaller Mark 1 rear lights as opposed to the larger rear lights found on later Minis. Some people prefer the look of the Mark 1 lights. They take a 1980s or 1970s era Mark 3, Mark 4 Mini and they put those lights on it. So that might be that. I really love the BMC fire extinguisher on that. That's a really nice period fitting that you would have seen on racing cars of the period. You actually got to the quick release bonnet on the interior of this one, really set far back actually. Bucket seats, the driver must be very tall in this particular or he's just put it back for the seats, I don't know. I think it probably is quite an early Mini. It's got quite an early sort of generation in terms of the aesthetics of that BMC A series engine. Single carb, but it is quite a carburettor. That's quite a chunky Weber for your intake system on that particular A series BMC engine, with a very nice BMC special tuning parts sort of strip across the top of the windscreen. That looks a really nicely prepared car. Got your brake master cylinders there, Lockheed branded, and your clutch master cylinders, those are sort of dual there. There's another Mini rolling in. There's plenty of these tonight, aren't there? Another very modified one on the Revolution rims. There's a collection of a trio of more Minis here. This is a later generation of Mini, and this looks to be a fairly early Mark 1 Mini, or at least Mark 1 recreation. Once again, just the single carb, but it is an absolutely huge carb. That doesn't look to be a Weber, but it's a very similar style or design to a Weber carburettor, so that would really go, all these would actually go really, really fantastically. They weigh almost nothing, and yeah, it would just go really, really fast. This last Mini seems to be injected. If we look at the intake system on that, I don't think those look to be carburetors. Those look to be throttle bodies, which would indicate a injected engine, an injected later Mini maybe, or an engine swap. Is it carbs? I don't know, but it's certainly a very sort of individual throttle body, at least look-alike. I think it probably is twin throttle bodies or something like that. Very, very elaborate intake system, racing intake system on that particular A series powered car. But yeah, very nice selection of very tuned up, very tastefully modified Minis here today. Just beyond the Z4 M Coupe we saw earlier, we have a bit of classic Ford goodness. Now originally this would have been a Ford side valve car. This is a 100E originally, but this most likely doesn't have its original side valve, probably a later Z-Tech twin cam in this one.
That'd suit you, wouldn't it?
I actually really like the look of that.
That's got your name all over it, that.
Has it? I wouldn't think.
That'd suit you. I think that'd suit you.
Nice, I do like that.
Nice wide steel is on it.
Yes. Yeah, some of these you see modified, those sort of like really bright colours with sort of like Capri alloy rims and stuff, but
a bit more subtle.
Yeah, it looks like a sort of like a touring car driver who drove a Mark 1 Cortina, I reckon would drive that on the road in period. I do really like the look of it. We were actually talking about boring car colours on the way over here. We're saying there's so many modern cars are grey, black and white, but actually grey looks really, really tasty on this particular 100E Ford. As Dad said earlier, you've got these really nice deep dish steel rims, which look very, very period correct and suitable. I like this car because it's not been modified with later parts or anything, or at least, well, later style parts. It's modified with very nice period correct in design and style parts. Originally a Popular, so you got a two-door iteration of the Ford 100E range here. That's obviously not an original Dagenham colour, that, but it does really, really look good in that grey. We've got, so yeah, I really like the look of this car because it's been modified. These lamps will not be original. It would have not originally had the Lucas P700s on this one, but I do like it because it's modified all with period parts. These Ford bucket seats also look like they have some age to them. Nice old style racing steering wheel, looks really, really sharp, this car. Under there will probably be some form of later, maybe twin overhead cam, or at least an overhead cam of some sort, 4-cylinder engine. But I actually do really like how that car's been modified. Really nice set of Lucas spot lamps on the front there. That is just the absolute perfect recipe, I think. I think I definitely could see myself in something like this, maybe in quite a few years' time, quite a few years of religious saving up. But yeah, I do really, really like the look and stance of this particular 100E Ford Popular. Just in front of that lot, I think some people are going to be getting a little bit blocked in tonight. This is a 2001 Jaguar XJ8 with a later private registration. It's a 4-litre. There was the likes of the XKR, which was the supercharged V8. This is just the naturally aspirated V8 engine in this particular Jaguar XJ8 convertible. 4-litre in that one. BMW Estate. This is quite the Renault 5 GT Turbo, at least modified to a much higher spec than any original Renault 5 could ever have hoped for from the Renault factory. This is an incredible looking car, very evocative of the likes of the Group B original rally cars, but those were obviously mid-engined or rear-engined. This looks to be still front-engine, front-wheel drive. The likes of the Group B Renault 5 Turbo rally cars would have been very sketchy, with the engine just behind the seats there, rear-wheel drive, real recipe for disaster really. But this is a front-wheel drive, front-engined. It's still probably bears some similarity to the original Renault 5 GT Turbo. Probably the only similarities, it's also turbocharged. We got these sort of vents here which look very cool. Looks to have appeared in a magazine. This incredibly modified Renault 5 GT Turbo. That's an amazing looking car, that one. This is a Peugeot 106 Rally. Looks like it's been to Alton Park, yeah, our local circuit. It's been to Donington Park and Cadwell Park, but that's our local circuit here, Alton Park Circuit. This looks a very nicely prepared car. Nice to see these on the limit on the racetracks and hill climb courses, but it's nice to see them actually being used on the road as well. Just in front is this Marlboro liveried Honda Beat. Honda Beat is like a little Japanese K-car sports car, probably half the size of any other European car. I think these have a mid-mounted 3-cylinder engine which makes a very unique sound and red lines at 9,000 RPMs. Really funky looking little car. There's a Subaru Impreza STI there. This is a very, very tastefully modified Hillman Super Imp, this one, so a top of the range Imp, this one. Once again, really nice and suitable steel wheels on this one, deep dish steel wheels. Very, very clean and tastefully modified car, this one. Low wood. Yeah, really good stance to that one. And there's yet another Mini, another British Leyland era Mini on the Revolution wheels. There's so many Minis here, far more than usual Minis here at tonight's particular evening classic car meet at the Swettenham Arms pub. Just behind the Porsche Cayman GT4 is this very, very smart TVR Chimera. It looks so cool in green. Most of these you see are in a sort of darkish blue colour shade, you could say, but this is a very rare car actually. I presume in its original colour, this very nice sort of mid-tone green. Really, really unique and interesting looking colour. Got this fella in the back here, looking very comfy for his appearance on the CarTraction YouTube channel. That VW camper over there is for sale. And there's the Maserati just over there in front of us, and the Jag and others. GR Yaris here. This is another 3-cylinder powered car. I think they get like 200 brake horsepower of these 3 cylinders, which is really impressive. Probably more than that actually, but these seem to be a really, really popular car. These were effectively like a homologation car for the WRC rally spec Toyota Yaris cars, which are also based on this Yaris, obviously very, very modified. Those actually have 4 cylinders in the Rally 1 cars, and then they have 3 cylinders in the Rally 2 spec cars, which run in the British Rally Championship at the top level, but they're sort of the second level, like F2 is to F1 in terms of the WRC Championship. But these seem to be really popular cars with modern car enthusiasts. They're meant to drive really well, and yeah, certainly a unique sound. They produce quite a unique sound, these 3-cylinder engines. We're back at the Lamborghini again, which is just an amazing car. Back at the Allard, back at the lovely Standard 10 saloon. Just beyond it is a new arrival. It was actually a while ago this car turned up. This is a fantastic pre-war era vintage MG. I think it's pre-war. I think this is the TA Midget by the looks of it. These were sold as the TC, but I think this is the TA pre-war generation of this particular MG vintage sports car. Probably does it count as vintage? I don't know. They've got some lovely domed Lucas headlamps on those. Those are nice, original fitting, absolutely immaculate chrome, green matching leather interior to the green exterior. That's lovely MG, which I think is the TA. There's a fantastic looking Ford Consul Capri GT. Basically, the result of what happens when you take the Ford Consul Classic, which was a 4-door sort of just saloon shaped of this particular body, and then they cut it down to a sort of GT body, 2 doors, coupe. So this is the Consul Capri GT. I suppose probably the first appearance of the Capri name in a particular Ford just this time sort of modification on the Ford Consul Classic floor plan. This is a 1963 car, and it looks really nice on those steel wheels. MG midgets here. This is a very tastefully modified little car with the gold hardtop, mini light wheels. This is another BMC A-Series powered car. Seen so many A-Series engines tonight. Very nice RAC badge. We have some quite vocal motorcycles just next to us, but what makes this car really special is, you know, the old classic cars sticker's all good, that's Dad's channel, but that just makes the car, doesn't it? CarTraction merch on this, I gotta say, extremely tastefully modified MG. I do really love the look of the gold top, it's like the works style of top. Yeah, thanks very much to the owner for indulging in some CarTraction and OCC merch, and yeah, very nice MG midget. We've seen this car quite a few times before. And here's the appropriate registration on the Lotus Elise. We've got the Lotus 160 4-cylinder in the back there. Now I spy a very interesting car over here, just beyond the Mercedes SL350 is this. Now at the first glance this appears to be a sort of very early 1970s era Porsche 911, but this is actually a fascinating resto mod car. Underneath this is the 964 generation of the Porsche 911. We just saw a 964 coming in earlier, so this is a 1990s era roughly Porsche 911, but it's all been deconstructed, all messed around with, and it's put the styling on of a sort of early to mid 1970s Porsche 911 sort of Carrera or something like that. So while it may look like an original 1970s era Porsche 911 Carrera, this is actually a very tastefully resto modded car based on the 964 floor pan. I've seen this car a couple of times before, and it's a very, very nice take on the earlier style of Porsche 911s based on the later platform. Obviously a more powerful version of the Porsche Flat 6, and these originally this would have been a 2.7 Flat 6 I think. I think the 964s had something like a 3.6 or something, so much larger. The Vauxhall engine Dolomite is off now. I bet that goes really well, that car. Real sleeper car, that one. Only the rims really give away any hint of modifications. There's the Renault 5 GT Turbo over there, the second one of those this evening actually, and an Audi R8. There's Nissan Silvia coming through. That is the S13 generation of the Nissan Silvia, imported car, very, very nicely modified. But yeah, just to reiterate, this is not an original 1970s Porsche 911. It's actually a much larger car than the original 70s cars. It's a 964 that has been fantastically resto modded, reworked to look like an early 70s Porsche 911. Let me know what you think of this particular resto modded car and any other of the cars that you see here tonight. Would you drive any of them home? Would you have them? There's a Lamborghini Gallardo coming in over there. Do you remember any of them, the older cars when they were new, or even the new cars? Please do let me know in the comments below. There's a Honda Integra Type R. Those are quite popular cars now, a bit of VTEC goodness in those. Alpine, most of these you see are blue, and that looks really, really good in orange, that actually. There's another Mini over here, that's I think a Mark III Cooper or something like that. 71, roughly in date, 1971. Dunlop alloy rims, very nicely modified little car, that one. Here's the sort of sunburnt colour Alpine, I do like that one. Just beyond the more modern Mercedes SL50 is this. Now this is most likely a Mark V Triumph Spitfire 1500, and that is missing the usual Spitfire 1500 decal on the front there, unless it's a Mark IV iteration of the Spitfire, and it's also missing a Mark IV badge on the front of it. Both of these having the cut-off tail as opposed to the earlier style of the Mark 1s, 2s and 3s. They had a much sort of rounded off tail. By the Mark IV, they cut off the tail like the Michelotti design cars in Triumph's range at the time. If it's a Mark IV, it'll have like a 1300cc 4-cylinder, which is a development of the standard SC engine, standard Triumph, very closely linked the standard 4-cylinder found in the standard 10 over there, enlarged to 1300cc's for this particular Triumph Spitfire. And if it's a 1500 with no badge instead of a Mark IV with no badge, then it will have a 1500cc derivative of the standard SC, you could say original engine, but yeah. Not sure why this one has a distinct lack of badging or stickering on the front of it. Can't tell whether it's a Mark IV or Mark V because of that, but really pops in yellow, that one, doesn't it? Just beyond that is a Nissan R34 GTR. I'm sure that we'll be getting a lot of gandering and drooling over tonight. Very popular car with the likes of JDM car culture fans. And just beyond that is a Lamborghini Gallardo. Just beyond the very tasty little Mini is this, the first motorbike we've looked at today. This is a Honda 350. If it's the bike I'm thinking of, the owner of this particular motorcycle has many other interesting things. Porsche 356C, Lancia Monte Carlo, among other things. Those are just the ones I remember. But this looked a very, very smart late 60s, early 70s type era Honda motorbike. I can't say that much about motorbikes, but yeah, that looks very, very smart indeed next to that little Mini. Just chatted to the owner. That particular Honda motorbike is actually a US market one, 6,000 miles since new, so that's very rare, that one. Flat 4 rumbling on the Subaru here. Very chunky Ford Broncos also manoeuvring. We've just come back to the Lamborghini because I've just found out that the owner of this Lamborghini, he has quite a collection of Lamborghinis, roughly 11 other Lamborghinis. He actually has. We've seen on the channel one of the original Batmobile cars, like the first Batman series, one of those cars. But among this 400 GT, apparently he has a Miura S. He has an Islero, which is featured on the channel, which is another jaw-dropping car, a Countach, and just an incredible collection. But to be honest, out of all of them, this is probably my favourite out of the collection. It's just such a beautifully sculpted body on this 400 GT. Just amazing looking car. I think this one will definitely have to appear on the CarTraction Instagram page. Yes, we are on Instagram now. Make sure to give us a follow at CarTraction_vids. And while you're at it, subscribe over here on YouTube. There'll be a little gap in my filming at the moment while we wait for some more things to arrive. I'll whiz around, do a few Instagram photos for the page and see if anything new has turned up. Oh wow, yeah. So I'm with the owner of this car, and very lumpy cams, isn't it? Yeah, so has it been aftermarket modified or anything?
No, it's battery this.
Oh right, yeah. Wow, 160 brake horsepower or something?
On the GEMS ECU standard.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds very purposeful for standard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
It comes with a Jan Speed exhaust and a cat as well, sports cat standard. So, yeah.
I'm sure that's a bit of a hoot to drive, isn't it?
Yeah. It's got a straight cut gearbox as well.
Has
LSD,
it?
Yeah. So it's quite cool.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds great, that. Love the lumpy idle of the big cams in that. That does sound fantastic. Have you had this one long?
15 years.
15 years, wow.
Yeah.
Of course, the very appropriate registration. Did you put that one on?
I did, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's a great looking and sounding car as well, yeah. It sounds a lot older than it is. It sounds like a sort of 60s race car or something in a way.
I think the cams overlap on it.
Yeah.
So, and it's got a GEMS ECU, and actually this is called an SVA model.
Right.
So it wasn't put through a type approval. Lotus had to physically SVH car, like a kit car. So they only made 50 of them, and this is one of the 50.
Wow. No, it certainly does sound very, very purposeful, that one. You may notice around the back of this very purposeful sounding Elise, you've got all this metal tape rounding here. The owner's just shown me a video of this car, and it puts out huge flames with this exhaust system on the sort of overrun and on gear changes, and he's had to put this metal tape obviously to save the paintwork because it chucks out huge flames out of the back of this fantastic sounding Lotus Elise. And here is the 964 generation of the Porsche 911. As I was saying earlier, that Resto Mod Black Porsche 911, that's based on one of these, the much later 964 generation. So it's one of these clothed in a 1970s body, which is very interesting. Just beyond the Cayman GT4, the Maserati's off, making its lovely V8. Naturally aspirated, I want to say burble. The Subaru's parked over here. Just beyond that, here's the Nissan Silvia S13. And a Dodge Challenger, that looks very menacing in the matte black paintwork. Mark II Ford Escort there. And the vinyl roof, there's a Lamborghini Huracan revving in the background. This is a Mark II Ford Fiesta. And there's the Porsche 944, the Dubai police livery on that Huracan. That's quite iconic, that. There's a BMW M3 and a VW Golf GTI rolling in. Here's the Porsche 944. I really like the look of this on the 5-spoke alloy rim wheels. Just looks really, really sharp. It's 1985, this one, a square dash car, 79,000 miles. It's for sale for £9,500. Very, very clean car. This one looks absolutely fantastic in the evening sunlight, and you may have spotted this one in the background, quite a late arrival. This is effectively a Ford GT40, but I think actually this is a GTD40. Now GT developments make various sorts of recreations and resto mods of sort of 1960s and 1970s classic racers, which is the era of these. A few weeks ago, over here came the GTD T70, which was their recreation of the Lola T70 historic racing car. This is their recreation of the Ford GT40 historic racing car, obviously very successful at Le Mans in the likes of the mid 1960s. So unfortunately not an original, but a pretty authentic recreation of the original Ford GT40 race cars. Mid-mounted V8 engine. Wow, that is quite the Lexus. I'll have to get away out of the might of that one. Lexus LS400 making a very, very loud V8 burble. There's the front of another V8 powered car, mid-mounted of course in this, the Ford GT40, BMW Z3, Lotus Emira's just fired up. There's a lovely Rover P6 over here. This is a really nice car tucked in the corner. This is a 3500. These were sold with a variety of engines, single carbon, twin carb for 2 litre and 2.2 litre 4-cylinders. There were two variants of the 3.5 litre Rover V8 powered cars, the 3500S, which was the manual sort of transmission cars, the Lotus Emira goes, and this is just the 3500, so this is the automatic 3-speed transmission that will be on this particular Rover P6. So you have automatic, not manual on that one. There's a few more cars over here. Now this is a stunning American. The D-Reg would suggest this is probably 1966, 67 in date, somewhere around there. It's actually a Ford Thunderbird, this one, in the super iconic American bronze colour. Some very interesting little sort of spotlights or something there. We get a look around the front of this particular Thunderbird. Very distinctive fronts on those. I can't quite figure out what these little elements on the fenders, I suppose we have to speak American, on the fenders of this Ford Thunderbird are for. So if anyone knows, please drop a comment in the section below as the Alpine rolls past. Modern interpretation of the Alpine, or sort of a continuation you could say of the 1970s Alpine race cars. And somehow I forgot to have a look at that absolutely insane Ford LTD. That one had a booming V8 engine, or at least a booming V8 engine soundtrack on the way in, so I'll have to have a look at that one. Did I say? I thought that's what it said. It's like a Thames 400, isn't it? Oh, so is the Ford the same as the Thames 400e? Oh, I thought they were badged differently.
LTD was like an American saloon.
Oh yeah. I read LTD off the front because when it came in I said Thames 400e.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the Ford.
10/12.
Oh, because I thought the Ford would be badged differently. Where's the engine in this one then?
In this one, normally.
Is it in? Yeah, it's like there. But I presume it's ooh, a little bit dark in here, but that's a huge V8 engine, which explains the booming soundtrack we heard earlier. There's a BMW E30 rolling in just behind me. And there's the E30 all blacked out, very sinister. There's the AMG. And here's the front of this absolutely insane Ford variant of the Thames 400e van. You can actually see the engines out on the GTD40, which is, as I repeat, not an original car. It's the GT Developments recreation of the original cars. And there's that very throaty sounding Ford Sierra. Beautiful burble of the Daimler V8 engine. Really sleek and usable classic car. That looks so handsome. I bet that would just look lovely on the road. Just in front of the GT40 and the Mark II Escort is a new arrival. Once again, quite a late one, this one, in terms of its time arriving. Quite an early, actually, MGA, and as a coincidence, this is a lovely green MGA 1600. 1600 4-cylinder in this one. Love the style of the sprung steering wheels. What engines are it? Is it B series in this? So it's a 1600 B series. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
Twin carb.
So is that the same engine, the 1600, as was in the Cambridges, which is another small capacity B series? Oh, this is getting complicated now. It's too big for A, isn't it?
People often used to, slightly derogatory, but in the 70s they'd often refer to like MGB and MGA, or certainly MGB roadsters as Morris Oxford convertibles, which was a bit harsh.
Oh, I see.
So it's a bit harsh.
Oh, I'm not going to be able to unsee that. That is very harsh, but I do see it.
But MG started out as modifying MGs back in the 20s, didn't they? Like the little bullnose Morris.
Morris garages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first MGs were based on the bullnose Morris, so I guess that's just a theme that's continued all the way through. But
do you think the people who made up that phrase knew that?
Probably not. It's a bit harsh. But
it is a little bit harsh. But I really like this MGA. The colour's just great. Like, there's no other cars this green.
No, it's very good.
Like, considering classic cars obviously in way more exciting colours than everything else, that's like a rare old car colour as well. I reckon it'd be pretty cool driving this GT40 at night.